Hey everybody. I'm going to read off several of these, and you know what? I'm not going to put no links, but I can say you will be able to find them at DeviantArt. This one is by a person called Unrealized-Ideas. And again, you can find this person at DeviantArt if you want to. Just Google a name. And they posted this about 12 hours and 21 minutes ago. So essentially about 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. And this is what they had to say. They entitled this, Ian Flynn Observation. And this is what they said, and I quote, "In a conversation on one of my rants that got buried under how long it was, I had an interesting point that sparked an observation of my thoughts on Ian Flynn's writing. I wrote in response to a question of what I thought was good or bad. As for Ian, keep in mind it is mainly my opinions of it, not necessarily the actual quality of the work. I may see. Okay. As for Ian, keep in mind it is mainly my opinions of it, not necessarily the actual quality of the work I may see in it. To be honest, this is rough." All right. Basically, what Unrealized here is doing is kind of giving a one-word or two-word situation on each issue and the arc of the story involved in it. And this is the way they look at it. 160 to 161, which is Ian Flynn's debut. Birthday Bash, they give it a love and hate quality, or love and hate feel for it. 162 to 164, Darkest Storm, they give it okay. They feel the story's okay. 165, Leak, they feel it's horrible. 166 to 167, 30 years later, horrible. Ending doesn't make up for it. 166 to 170, Ordered from Chaos. Or 168 to 170, I should say, Ordered from Chaos. Good story, still hated. 171, I Am, likable. 172, Truth of the Heart, horrible, worth the effort, likable. Roundup, starts good, goes bad. 174, Wedding Bells, good for Antoine Bunny, ending, what the WTF. 175 to 77, those together for me, love-hate. Or those for Unrealized is love-hate. 178 to 179, House of Cards, horrible. 180 to 184, Earthjack, this is how they feel about it, crap. And then they say, don't get me wrong, good given what is to work with, but crap. 185 to 186, Mogul Rising, I see more as the final fearsome foursome. I like. And then they underline this. 187 to 96, 97, I would dump together. I know technically better as 187 to 188 than 189 to 196 and 197, but it's the most continuous streak I have seen for a single story throughout so far from Ian. It is dominated by Scourge. I hate it. Okay, basically they're saying, okay, now what they're saying about that is, again, it is the most continuous streak I have seen for a single story thought so far from Ian. It is dominated by Scourge, and they hate it. 198 to 200, Retro, not cutting it with the ending. 201 to 212, Iron Dominion to me, another streak grouping, including the SU stuff, which was Journey to the East. Good story, actually, love, hate. 213 to 214, Raining Cats and Dogs, they were okay with it. 215 to 216, Family Matters, Silver, I will admit it's a love-hate possibility if he can keep it upright. If not, but it's ongoing. Steel. $2.17 to $2.18, thicker than water. They like. $2.19 to $2.20 in Silver is the king. Unrealized hates. $2.21, changing tempo. They have a unrealized has a love-hate with it. $2.22, the world can wait. They like. Borderline, love it. That's unrealized for you. Unrealized ideas. $2.23 to $2.24, chaos in the crown. The Nagas pile. Hate. It's horrible. To coin a term as pukable. I don't like it on so many levels. $2.25, one step forward. The anniversary issue. They hate. $2.26 to $2.29, Sonic Genesis, retro but not quite cutting it. I don't like it. $2.30 to $2.31, two steps back, aptly named. I hate it. Main point, I may have not said. It and after is a revamp of Sonic 29, Sonic the Hedgehog issue 29, and a longer timetable in my opinion. So basically what they're saying there about 230 is 230 and 231 is basically what I think a lot of us feel. It's basically Ian's attempt at roboticizing Sally, but going in a different direction. And some of us like it, some of us don't. 232 in that Nagas pile, they hate. 230 Trial of the Traitor. 233 Trial of the Traitor, treated slightly separate from the Nagas pile because it singles out Jeffrey, still hate it. 234 Unthinkable, hate. 235 Silver again, as above I guess, hate personally, but the jury's not out on it yet. 236 to 241 I'd clump as the team change and just say I hate it. 242 non-issue maybe. It's the Olympic tribute, so I can't fault it, except it doesn't fit in anywhere outside the Olympics. 243 to 246 Endangered Species, hate it. Okay, now remember, these are all unrealized ideas, thoughts at DeviantArt and various other sites. And continuing on, this is what they say. I'll be more than happy to try and break it down on a specific level at some point, but that's the general outlook at this time. Largely, however, I can't realistically fault Ian's skills as a writer on the short terms. I can, however, fault his claim as being a Sonic fan in writing such atrocity, contractual stuff when given the bigger picture. I don't see any fan wanting to seriously write horrible stuff so much about characters you supposedly care for. To a degree, I wonder how many might see it before I comment it. To a degree, that's better. Get some coffee there. To a degree, I wonder how many might see it before I comment on it though. I have trouble faulting Ian Flynn on 2 points as a writer. The arcs that are short in duration and the others that are heavy doses of restrictions. Okay, this is what they say. I have trouble faulting Ian Flynn on 2 points as a writer. The arcs that are short in duration and others that have a heavy dose of restrictions to it. Ian, however, okay, sorry about that. Let's turn off my heater. Ian, however, goes out off on the deep end when there isn't those boundaries. In an ironic point, this leaves a number of limited arcs where you could actually say Ian did a good job. 171 I Am, 185 to 86 Mogul Rising, 217 to 218 Thicker Than Water, 222 The World Can Wait, are 4, I would point out, well, Ian did a good job. 168 to 170, Order from Chaos. 213 to 214, Raining Cats and Dogs. 215 to 216, Family Matters. And to a degree, the remaining silver stuff, those 3, I would say, are passable okay. But that, in my view, still leaves most of the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comic, since Ian Flynn started writing as bad to me. But there is that interesting part. If Ian Flynn has restrictions on what he can and can't do, clearly outlined with a boundary of not letting it drag on, he actually ends up writing something good here. 171 I Am ended up being a phenomenal conclusion to Shadow's searching here. Plot started, but it really built and managed to connect his character well and set him on the path he was meant for. 185 to 186, Mogul Rising. I must admit, I have a favoritism towards the chaos-powered demigod, and thankfully Ian did him justice here. To top it off, compared to the later butchered 212 changing tempo, this final fearsome foursome did well for the characters involved. Mogul's parts that were obviously added in, but fit and did well for what was needed, allowing him to work in it. 217 to 218, Thicker Than Water, is another great once that featured the characters well, and did a good job on adding more depth to Bunny's past. Can't say it all made sense, but it was better than it could have been. 222, The World Can Wait. Same routine as the others basically. Characters with a backstory, working on fixing the mess and fitting into what they can do with the time allowed. Ian pulls this off rather well. The other 3 were close but not quite, however, still passable compared to the rest. 168 to 170, Order from Chaos, another one of those closure points, this time for Adam. Despite its flaws and changes throughout Adam's existence, this was a halfway decent way to end it. The only reason I say it's passable and not really okay is it still carries traits of inconsistencies, yet it managed to at least, in some key end some key loose strings in a manner that could be acceptable. 213 to 214, Raining Cats and Dogs. Aside from the OOC moment, most of the rest fits well in for what was provided earlier. 215 to 216, Family Matters. It is a place of silver arcs, or it is a piece of Silver's arcs, and so I have a fundamental issue with it. However, most everything outside of it turned out mostly alright. To a degree, it almost makes me feel bad bashing Ian all the time. Almost. The thing is, Ian showed he could do well. Mega Man is okay, even though not my cup of tea, and even still here in Sonic, he did manage to write longer arcs that held okay on their own for the most part. No, I'm not saying anything's perfect there, but there are better than what we have seen. And that is what eggs me on. Ian Flynn shows he can, and in certain contained aspects, do it rather well. Yet he drops the ball on the long haul. Why? The only reason I can think of is he's got a general direction, but without firm boundaries, he can get out of line from established continuity as he writes, probably losing sight on what they ought to fill in, and finds himself needing to fit a gap in the plot, leaving those horribly plot-driven stories that fail to make no sense. Well, that's my 2 cents. Ends out of it all lately anyway. And And that's about all they say, except they left out adding 247. But that's unrealized